Hello, my name is Ben,
And I'm Andrew.
and we are the hosts of the Too Vague podcast this week. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing mostly okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm visiting from Portland, so
Yeah.
I get to see some sunshine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're not talking about me. You're talking about
The cats.
the cats.
Mango and Bash. I get
Yeah,
to see
exactly.
them.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
are definitely sunshine.
Yeah,
and both the boys are out today, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So,
I know they were hiding the last time I did this.
yep, but now they're accustomed to having guests on the show. They may even chime in with their own questions at some
They
point.
might.
You never know.
Yeah.
The order of business, it's a very vast topic. We can go one of any number of ways in this topic,
Okay.
which is the word
The word time.
time.
Time. Yeah.
Yes. Not parsley, sage, rosemary, and
No, that's
that's a different time.
it's a different time.
We're talking about a unit of measure.
You know what? I know you might have forgotten that this happens, but right now we're getting into the second week of daylight savings time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. People get upset about that.
Well, and here's the thing, too. It's like, didn't that bill pass the House?
I don't know if it passed the House. The Senate was like, yeah.
It was the Senate. It was
the Senate
that
was like,
passed,
let's make it permanent daylight savings time.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's a problem.
It's also confusing because then what does that mean for Arizona, that we would be now displaced? Because, I mean, if
Arizona's just going to do it. Arizona does.
Arizona's going to Arizona.
It means Arizona would be on the same time as California all the time, which I'd probably like. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, can we get some of that beachfront property, too, as a part of that deal?
No.
No? that's not the way geography works.
Yeah, that's a different thing. It's not time.
Okay.
I mean, given enough time,
right.
perhaps.
Erosion may occur. And,
Yeah.
You know, because the earth is defending itself against us.
Yeah.
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 Let's not talk about that, though.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the more traditional, and I think I'm going to forgo what I normally do, which is the dictionary definition, because time is so universal anyway. We all know what time is.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, I think we all kind of, I don't know. I think time gets kind of funny.
Yeah.
I would say for me, especially when I'm at work, the time between 11:40 and 12:05, that's when I'm on outside recess duty at the school I work at.
Right.
And it takes at least 3 hours for those 25 minutes to pass.
Wow.
At least it feels like it.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. That's an interesting thing about how we perceive time.
How you
right?
perceive what's going on. For some reason, that part of it's just like every other 20-minute stretch, it doesn't seem long enough. But this one, it's too long.
Right. To me, it's all about how you frame the activity, I think.
Yeah.
If you can apply some sort of I don't know about reward or something to it, but some sort of something that makes it more important, or, I mean, how many times have you done that? Is that just currently that it is doing this to you, or has it always been that way?
Oh, I don't know. It's like every year is different, but
this year the tendency is...
This year, it's like I'm looking at my watch and going like, how is it not time to blow the whistle yet?
Right.
And it might just because like I'm on heightened alert because the kids are going to fight over soccer.
Right.
Any second now, it's going to happen. And
So you're anticipating the worst?
I'm just being realistic.
I mean, wars have happened for less, I guess.
There's been a pattern of behavior.
Right. Right. I don't know how you do it, man.
I don't either. I don't know.
It's certainly not the money, I would guess. No.
Money. That's another problem. I got to figure out money. But that wasn't the word that we chose.
No, that's not the word. Because
I could have gone economics.
Right. Right. But we're going to go with
We're going to go with time. Why did I pick time? I'm trying to write another time travel novel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What is it? The notoriously bad time traveler.
Yeah, Larry, the horrible time traveler.
That's what it is.
That was the first one.
And that's a zine, or are you trying to convert that
No,
into a novel?
That
or?
one was that's like a couple hundred pages. It's
Okay.
a paperback. You can buy it on the website of something.
Your website, the
On my website, or
Partly Robot?
the partlyrobot.com. There's a link to my, what was it, Big Cartel website.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can find it there.
It's a digital too, right? Or is it?
Oh yeah. No, there is the ebook version that's
Right.
available in all the ebook places, I think.
I think Norah has ebooks. That might be a good book for her to pick
It
up.
might be. There's some cuss language in it.
Oh, warning.
Warning, trigger warning.
Cuss language.
I put a lot of cuss language in that one because that was a funny story, but I was angry.
So, what were you angry about? Was it just general stuff? Is it something when you write these? And let's just talk specifically about the horrible time traveler one.
Yeah.
Is it a commentary for you on your life or things that you see that are wrong with society or things that you can't explain? I mean, what inspires you to write about this time traveler and the three-headed dog? Is it a three-headed dog?
There's a two-headed dog.
Two-headed dog.
Yeah, but that's in the follow-up that I'm working on right now.
Okay.
Which I think I'm 2/3 of the way through, but
Okay.
maybe.
How many pages do you think is it going to be significantly longer?
It's going to be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of stalled out for a couple months, and now I'm trying to get back at it.
And this the first one that you wrote was before the pandemic. Correct?
Yeah, that one was I started that one about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Not quite 10 years ago, and that started because I needed a project, and there was somebody that was launching a serial fiction website.
Okay.
And so that website doesn't exist anymore, but they said, "Oh yeah, yours looks cool. Why don't you keep writing chapters?" And
now they don't exist.
now they don't exist. Their money ran out.
The problem is when you try and sell fictional serials.
Yeah. People just want Cocoa Puffs.
I mean, they want Cocoa Puffs.
It was an experiment, and somebody was going for it.
Yeah.
And it gave me a reason to keep doing, somebody be like, "Hey, when are you getting that next chapter out?" So that
Right. It keeps you focused.
it kept me kind of going on, and
Yeah.
and they would people would vote on what their favorites were, and if you got enough votes, if you're in the top 10, then you get like $10 in your PayPal account, which was not much, but
Right. But it's something, right?
it was something. Yeah. So, but also that's kind of part of why there was a little bit more surly language in it, because I was like kind of testing to see what the editorial oversight would be.
Oh, okay.
And then I found out that there wasn't any, and then and I was like, "Oh, maybe I need to dial it in." And
right, that's what I like to call the watermelon and the vice.
Yeah, and exactly. It was the watermelon and the vice.
Yes, for people who don't know, watermelon and the vice is a reference to Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, just go watch Buckaroo Banzai.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing. They were testing to see.
They were testing.
Yeah.
If the bosses were paying any attention. And then I kind of incorporated it into the story because like the basic format is like there's two main characters.
Mm-hmm.
There's Larry, who's accidentally gotten the power of time travel but hasn't figured it out.
Okay.
And there's this other guy who's like a seasoned time traveler, kind of surly. Kind of runs into him and he's like, "Oh, this kid's going to mess a bunch of stuff up. I got to look out for him."
Right.
So the chapters kind of alternate between their points of view.
Okay.
And it's like the conceit is like, really good time travelers have to, or not really good, any time traveler has to be constantly journaling about what they're doing. Otherwise they'll forget who they are, why they're doing anything. So it's like an important thing. So Larry's trying to, learn how to be a writer. And then there's all this commentary about, watch your language. And, because then I started using I don't know. That was getting meta, but yeah.
Okay. So that's part of
it. But that's like the mechanics of it. But the time travel, why I chose that, I think it's like part of it is that, you can take a look at stuff from the past, or also you're not limited. Like, I'd always get stuck with writer's block, but if if you're feeling stuck in a part of your story, you can be like, oh, maybe that's because it's really boring now. Why don't I have my characters just time travel to somewhere else and do a different situation?
Right.
So,
sort of a fish out of water thing.
Sort of like, it's like, oh, this isn't working, so let's
mix it up.
So I guess the idea was to try to keep progressing at all times.
Right.
And,
is there a story arc for Larry as far as him learning, or is it like in the first 100 pages? Are there any big lessons for that character, or is it just kind of like he's still trying to figure things out by the end of the first?
Well, by the end of the first, he has a bit of an arc. He comes from being like totally like thrown in the middle of this convoluted situation where there's basically humans are getting stuck in the middle of a conflict between the dinosaurs and the robots.
Okay.
So it's basically like, oh no, there had been these agreements that everybody stays within their epoch,
right,
and somebody's messing with it, and
right,
and then Larry happens to be the guy that figures out how to save the day.
Yeah. All right. So this is like a single timeline. It's not like multiple timelines or anything like that. Like
no,
simultaneously occurring.
No, it's not. It's not like a multiverse kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it could get there.
But it sounds like the journaling, what it says to me is like if you make changes, you forget stuff because the change you made impacts you somehow in a way that kind of blurs the lines.
And like one of the things that like there's a time travel. I have to remember the CTCA, the Cross Time Coordinating Agency, which is like the time cops.
Right.
That, their mission is to make sure things don't go messed up and
make sure Jean-Claude Van Damme does his splits in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like he's supposed to.
It's supposed to. You got to do it at the right time. Right? No, but making sure people aren't creating paradoxes or doing
meeting themselves and telling themselves stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it just kind of turns out that anytime you try to do that, it doesn't work out the way you'd expect anyway. So.
We're right. Such is life, right?
Such is life.
Yeah, you can plan for almost any contingency that you can think of, but it's usually not right on the mark.
Yeah. Anyway, I just hijacked your podcast by talking about my
No, you didn't.
My time travel novel.
No, that's great. That's great that you've got something that you're working on.
I got something that I'm working on. And mostly, it's and I think like I wanted to get back to it again because just the practice of writing, and writing something that I was finding enjoyable and fun. Having an audience kind of helps.
Right.
Although I don't have much of an audience right now. But I mean, I have like 5 people following me on Patreon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's equivalent to my audience.
Exactly.
It's people, it's like, and, I get it.
You get it. So, but it's like just enough to be like, oh, these people deserve a chapter this month, so I need to finish it up.
Right.
And like I started doing the follow-up, which I'm calling The Beast Beyond Time.
Okay.
Because that just sounds like a cool title. Beyond time, there's a beast.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
I was just like, I'd been kicking around. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then a pandemic started.
Right. Right.
Which is kind of funny. It was like, I think it was like within a month of me deciding, I'm going to start cranking out chapters and doing a Patreon. And then.
Right. And then the world changed a little bit. The world changed.
So then there was one chapter that was like very specifically set in 2019, and somebody in there was saying, okay, no, we got to get this done right now. We cannot come back in 6 months, but I can't tell you why.
It's like, yeah.
So I was like, oh.
So it was very serendipitous that kind of occurred. Are you going to revisit that in the book?
Oh, what? The
2019 thing? Like what happened?
I'm kind of writing around it.
Okay. I would say something like that. You want to treat your audience like they have some intelligence, so you don't have to, right?
No, and it's sort of like, at the time where I was writing that chapter, it was like, oh, I don't want to write about what is it like to be living with this, because I can't, I want to do fiction. I want to have it be an escape.
Right, right.
So just mentioning that this character who's trying to get some spacesuits from an Elon Musk type guy, and he's getting the runaround saying, no, actually, they're busy right now. Come back in 6 months, and you'll have it. It's like, I can't do it in 6 months.
No.
The time traveler guy knows that, no, I cannot come back in 6 months.
Right.
It is not fun here in 6 months.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not. It's only an analog of Elon Musk. It's not actually. I don't disparage him at all.
Yeah.
Or make fun of
his children.
So I leave his children out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they all have odd names that you can't actually.
Yeah.
It's not legal to use these various symbols.
Using. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of the second coming of Frank Zappa.
We'll just.
Except with less talent.
Yeah.
And lots more money. Not to disparage.
And they got their problems, I'm sure.
No,
yeah.
It's the media is going to criticize you regardless of what you do. I don't want to get too political, but the whole situation with Russia and Ukraine. The Ukraine situation where he set up internet basically for that. They've got internet.
Oh yeah,
there.
Elon's got he's.
And yet there are reports that he's making fun of people who are supporting them, kind of thing. It's like, he's just an odd duck.
I know that the SEC wants someone to oversee his tweets.
Really?
Yeah, because he does some irresponsible tweeting sometimes of business related stuff. Like a few years ago, he was like throwing out there, I think I got enough capital to take the company private again. I think I can do it right now. And it's like, you can't
do that.
You can't just say that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, people will be like, oh, let's buy Tesla stock because he's going to pay a premium on it.
Right.
When he buys it back.
Right.
It's like kind of
but
messed up.
They fine people for that. But it's like the fines are The fine itself, it's like you can fine those guys all you want.
Yeah.
But they're Tesla and it's Elon Musk. It's like a drop of water in the bucket.
Yeah. So it's just kind of funny. He's funny.
He is an odd duck.
An odd duck.
Yeah.
I sold my stock in his company way too early.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It's as far as
because I have a lot of stock, right?
How much GameStop did you buy?
I didn't buy any GameStop. I got a differerent plan.
Yeah, I saw on Jon Stewart had a show, his new show. Have you seen? Oh, do you have Apple TV?
I don't have the
Apple TV Plus. Yeah,
there's so many different things to have. I don't have that one.
Well, it's Jon Stewart's show. It's called The Problem with Jon Stewart with no punctuation.
The Problem with Jon Stewart.
Right.
Or The Problem with Jon Stewart.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he did a thing about the whole stock market, sort of, like this group of people who, quote unquote, exposed the way short sales were working and things like that. And it's like, they didn't expose anything. It's been there. It's just that no one's been paying attention, and no one will pay attention right now. You've got people trying to game the system, and I don't quite understand why they're, that's manipulating the market too. What they were doing is manipulating the market, so they should be fined appropriately.
They should be put in Twitter jail, or no?
Well, I don't know,
or whatever. It's. Yeah,
it's something. It was never a big secret. It's like when you do that kind of coordination through anything like Robinhood, which gives you the ability to do that as a customer. Of course, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Short selling. It always amazes me that it's allowed. But
yeah. And that's the thing; it's not regulated too much by because what the SEC is trying to do is they're trying to make examples of the big companies. So your Elon Musks, your Apples, and they're not focusing on the little guy as much. As far as punishing the little guy, we'll leave that up to the IRS. We'll let. But anyway, enough of that. We're getting too political. Let's talk about
political. Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about time. The Time.
The Time.
The band, The Time. Do you remember the band, The Time?
No, I don't remember The Time. What?
They do a song called Jungle Love.
Jungle Love.
They do a song called The Bird. They were the band in Purple Rain that was...
Oh, right, yeah.
That Prince was battling against in the Battle of the Bands. And for me, just personally, I was rooting for the Time the entire time. I know the guy was a dick, but I like the music better than Prince.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not familiar with the Time?
I'm not.
Morris Day and the Time.
Morris Day and the Time. I've heard the name, and I don't know.
What else do you think about other than your book when you talk about the Time?
When I talk about time,
I mean, is it like media stuff? Is it like music?
Far
Is
out,
it
man.
or do you is it stuff you contemplate? Do you contemplate like things like time and time travel and how time, like you mentioned before, how certain tasks seem longer when you're focusing on them?
It is interesting. It is. I feel like time is one of those things where like it should be like objective. It like has an objective component, but because human beings and things like we look at things and for some reason, something that's really engrossing, all of a sudden we're doing something that we're really into, and that time seems like it just flows and flies away.
Right. Right.
Even though if you're like working on something, then you have something to show for it afterwards or something like. But yeah. And then there's like, if you're waiting on something, then it can take forever. Just seeing how different people's perception of time, is it's really interesting. Like I just remember one time back when, it's another recess story, but I was substitute teaching and a kid comes in the classroom and, they're at their lunch recess and he's like, "Oh, can I get a ball?" And I was like, "You sure you only have 3 minutes left?" And he's like, 3 minutes, cool. And he like grabs the ball and I was like, okay, to my old person mind, 3 minutes is not enough time to do anything, but a kid can have a lot of fun in 3 minutes. And that whole kind of thing, like, like how do we perceive time? Is it like, the amount of time that you've been alive, like, oh gosh, how do I explain it? Like when you're 3 years old, 1 year is a third of your life.
Right.
But when you're 30 years old, 1 year's not that much anymore.
30th.
Yeah, you're like, eh. So it's like, your whole idea of what your time frame is
and how fast it goes by. It seems like to me the pandemic year with all the stuff I was going through with working from home, even though I was doing that, it just seemed to fly by.
Right. No, that is another thing, is like I feel like that 2020 2021, it's like this fuzzy, like, did we actually have that year?
Right. Because there's not a lot I did other than what was inside the home.
Yeah.
So it was not like there was a lot of experience, anything new. It was mostly mundane, sort of like repetition.
Can we just consider like have a do-over for like that age? Like, do I have to advance my clock a year because it felt like I didn't do anything for a year?
Well, unfortunately, that's not how time works.
Yeah, but why not?
Well, I don't know.
Time work. But,
What about time loops?
Time loops.
Yeah. Speaking of fictional serials or whatever.
Fruit Loops. Yeah.
Yeah. Time loops.
Time loops.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. One specific thing that pops into my head is the very first Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Ooh.
The Cave of Time.
The Cave of Time.
Did you ever read that?
Probably did, but I know I read a bunch of Choose Your Own Adventures back in the day.
The Cave of Time, it's the first in the series that was published, but the author, Edward Packard, wrote many of those books beforehand. He had a prototype book called Sugarcane Island in 1969. He was trying to get it published at various places, and no one wanted to publish it. They didn't, it was basically...
They didn't get the concept.
No, they didn't. And then it finally was published in 1976. They had two other books. Basically, he had created that sort of for his children.
Yeah.
Something where they could participate in the story, and that was his whole focus. Finally, once the books started getting a little bit of recognition, that's when the Choose Your Own Adventure book series started. 1979 is when The Cave of Time was published. Let me just say also, I loved those books as a child. Just kind of like, you try and read through all of them and get all the different endings, but some of the endings just suck.
Oh yeah, they're terrible.
I think that's the problem with a lot of books that or things that try and have multiple endings, like in games, like
Yeah.
you died of dysentery.
You died of
Like
dysentery.
that's
Yeah.
your ending, right?
You're like,
I'm not to genre mix, but what I'm saying is, like games have the same problem. When you
Right.
try and focus on multiple endings,
yeah.
there are going to be ones that suck.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my problem with the whole, what is the good ending? And then,
there was kind of like, there were a lot of actual early computer games were kind of those text-based.
yeah,
They were
exactly.
basically choose your own adventures, but
Exactly.
like Zork.
Yeah, Zork. That was a classic one. And,
Yeah.
and then Planetfall and
Planetfall.
Wishbringer and all these InfoCom games that came out that
Yeah.
were... The cool thing about them, I always like the InfoCom games, not for the game itself, but for the little tchotchke that came with it. Because they packaged them with little things, like Wishbringer had this little glow-in-the-dark stone that came with
neat.
it. And then,
Yeah.
Planetfall came with something that was related to the whole series or whatever. But yeah, that's the original, even going back to Adventure, which was on mainframe computers like back in the day. It was Colossal Cave Adventure, but it was basically, go forward, go west, you see this thing, also a very much choose your own adventure book, but not in book form. And actually before choose your own adventures became popular.
Going off to a genre that involved time travel.
Right.
No, like Douglas Adams.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote while he was still alive every permutation of Hitchhiker's Guide. There was a radio show, a TV show, novels, and there was also a text-based computer game.
Right. InfoCom.
Yeah,
Also.
and that was his favorite version of Hitchhikers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He had more fun doing that than writing a traditional novel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Did you play any of those? The InfoCom games?
I think I tried to play the Hitchhiker's Guide. I know I started it, and then for some reason, I would just rather read the books. I don't know.
Yeah. You're probably too young to have a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster.
I was too young to have a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blast. I didn't.
Did you have your towel?
My towel. I carried a little washcloth in my fanny pack.
Oh,
my
okay.
senior year of high school.
That's a mini towel.
It was a mini towel. It was very deliberate.
Yeah.
It got gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not from use, just from whatever was in the fanny pack.
Exactly.
Just fanny pack lint.
Yes, fanny pack stuff.
Because I was really cool.
Were you?
I was really cool in high school. I had a fanny pack.
Yeah, no, I had
and a mullet, and
I tried to I tried to make it cool by calling it a hip pack instead.
Yeah,
I was like, no, it's not a fanny pack, it's a hip pack.
Yeah,
because I wear it on my hip.
Yeah, and exactly, that's where I wore it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the UK, fanny pack that's obscene.
Yeah,
or at least
Australia.
You're asking for somebody to punch you in the face.
I think I've told this story early on the podcast. My uncle Tom, he was in Australia with his wife. She taught grade school, and there was like an exchange program where she went and taught in Australia, and then someone from Australia came here and taught. And so, Tom was down there with her for that, and they were on a bus, and they were kind of squabbling like they do. It was a crowded bus, right?
Yeah.
And Tom says, "No, just stuff it in your fanny pack." And then the whole bus got really quiet because apparently also not only fanny means vagina, stuff means screw.
Yeah.
So
you said a lot of stuff.
A lot of
things were happening in that sentence.
Yep. So
that you don't want to think about on a bus.
No, especially not with children being on the bus either. No. Just like,
you save that for the subway.
Maybe light rail. I don't know. Maybe light rail.
Things happen on light rail.
Yeah. Light rail is a different clientele.
You know what? I once observed, I was riding the light rail in Portland, and there was a guy in a bathrobe who started having a conversation with somebody else about juggalos.
Okay.
And the bathrobe guy was really skeptical about it. He was making fun of the juggalos, and the other guy was like, "No, actually, look at this and this." And I was sitting here watching this unfold, and I was like, "Wow, bathrobe guy is getting turned around on his opinions about juggalos." and
I'm watching this in real time.
I'm watching this in real time. Wow, I should have recorded it.
Yeah.
Or not.
So where does the light rail go in Portland? I remember taking something from the airport up to the north part of Portland when I visited you once, but then there was buses from that point forward I had to take. Is there a light rail that goes down the center, or?
No, they have more light rail now. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Right.
Like there's more lines.
Okay.
So yeah, they've tried to stretch out to the suburbs that'll
Right.
take them. So yeah, when you came, I think they just barely opened that airport line, and then there was another, like the oldest line went from just basically east to west from Gresham all the way out to Hillsborough. And now they've added I think they've got 4 other ones. Yeah, that was blue, red, and then green, yellow, orange.
Rosy mauve beige.
No, I think they got the 5. And then there's now a streetcar.
Named Desire.
It's named Desire. But I don't know. I haven't ridden any of those in a couple of years now. So
Because you're using gas-powered vehicles?
yeah.
Yeah.
I got a Prius.
Well, you say that like there's something wrong with it.
No, it's good. There's still the gas part, but
right.
But
And there's a little bit of stigma. People make stupid inferences on the driver based on having a Prius, which I think is a little silly. But
it's a little silly. But here's the way I look at it: is I don't have to waste any time putting bumper stickers on my car.
Okay.
Because anybody that would get offended by any bumper sticker that I put on the car is already going to be offended that I'm driving a Prius.
So there you go.
And anybody that would
Mission
be
accomplished.
excited about any bumper sticker I'd put on would already also be like, hey, that guy drives a Prius. So
you're killing 2 birds with one stone.
It's like, I don't need to advertise anything.
It's a self-driving bumper sticker.
Yeah, self-driving bumper sticker. People can probably guess how I'll vote.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, y'all are upset about the price of gas going up right now. Well,
yeah, I don't. I've got some opinions about the gas thing.
the price of gas goes up every time there's a war,
and that's the thing too. It's a money making thing.
Yeah,
to me, that's what it seems like.
Oh,
it seems like it's just. Oh wait, now we've got less on our supply line. Not that they're using any of Russia's oil, but it's like, well, let's jack the price up because we've got one of our possible sources cut. It's just an excuse to raise the.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. I mean, it could be wrong.
You could be right. Yeah, that's commodities and futures trading.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, like the price of oil is based on how much they think it will be in the future.
Right.
And so, a war is starting. That means it's going to cost more in the future. So we need to raise the price on what we have right now.
Yeah.
Which,
it doesn't. It's one of those things where
it's like, basically, let's make the money of the future right now.
But it's never been this high before, right? It's never been this, like, even with the Gulf War stuff.
Adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if we adjust for inflation, it's similar. It's similar to what it went up in 91. It's similar to what it went up in 2003.
Yeah.
And both those times, people are like, "Oh my God, gas has never been this high before."
Right.
And it's like, well, in a way, it has.
Step 1: blame the president, even though he probably wasn't involved at all. Just blame him. Let's not do that.
Well, this time we're blaming them. See, before, since there were the wars we were starting or whatever, you could blame the president, but that wasn't patriotic. And then,
right. Let's not go there. Let's talk about.
Let's not blame the president.
No. Let's the inflation. Inflation of time.
Inflation of time. Oh yes.
Maybe that's something that we can kind of.
Time totally inflates.
Does it?
No. Oh, okay. Well, if we relate it to space,
right?
Space time is like.
I never understood space time. Never. What is space time?
Space time is just. Time is another dimension, as is space. Like space is like the 3, dimensions you measure, and then time is just basically it's another dimension.
Okay.
We experience it differently.
Right.
Mathematically, they're all interrelated.
Okay. Is time expanding like space is expanding?
Well, in a way, like our time is sort of like our perception of the expansion.
Okay.
Because, like, if you have like the Big Bang model, where like Big Bang is the origin point on the three-dimensional graph of the universe. So, everything's expanding out from the origin point.
Okay.
Well, time is also expanding out from the origin point.
Right.
And that's how we know that we're not at the origin point anymore, because time is expanded.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, it's okay. I didn't bring enough hallucinogens to really make it work out.
Yeah, I did.
I
Same
mean-
here. I was thinking, geez,
Yeah, no, it's okay.
where are those mushrooms at?
It's really like our perception of time is basically, well, it's very localized because we're just here
Right.
in a very tiny part of the universe.
And it's also in comparison to, our lifespan in comparison
Yeah.
to the life of the universe is,
We're like in a little frothy foam on the surface of a ball
yeah.
that is totally inconsequential in size, compared to the rest of the universe. So, so, it's all fine.
Yeah. Just make, I think, like, what do you do with your time sort of thing.
But
like-
yeah, we're looking like as like all the dimensions, and it's
Right.
a fourth dimension. Like
Right.
if you're going to make a model of the universe as a whole, and that yes, it's all expanding from the origin.
Mhm.
Just time is another dimension that it's expanding, and
Right.
for us, we're like creatures of this, and so if we could step out to a fifth dimensional perspective, it would totally be obvious. But
But we can't. As far as we know. I mean,
I think sometimes when I'm asleep, I do. But
oh, okay.
yeah,
I remember that Aquarius song.
yeah.
That's what I remember, but
Yeah.
that's about the only fifth dimension thing I even
The other
know.
night when I was asleep, I suddenly was like very certain I knew what the secret meaning of the acronym NERF was.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't. I just, in my sleep, I made up some kind of, NER. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. I was like,
Nerf as in
as a NERF.
guns and
Yeah.
footballs and things like that.
But, the internet already had an official or unofficial acronym explanation.
Ah. Do you know that nerfing is a video game term? This is a teachable moment for Norah here.
Nerfing. Yeah.
When you're nerfing something, it's you introduce a patch that basically reduces the effectiveness of a weapon or makes it a lot easier or whatever. That's called nerfing.
Yeah.
So-
Or like when they put the little pads on the bars at the McDonald's Playland.
Right, exactly. But that's
Except
like
for-
that's
no, they
like
didn't do that.
that's like literally nerfing something as opposed to figuratively nerfing.
No, the
nerfing something.
old McDonald's Playland with the hot steel and the sunshine.
Yeah, back in my day, man, we
Yeah,
didn't
that's
have
good
no
stuff.
we didn't have no pits of plastic balls.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, they totally brought it inside and nerfed it.
nerfed it.
But what I found out, the real or the supposedly real either acronym or backronym for Nerf is non-expanding recreational foam.
That makes sense.
That
That
wasn't-
does actually non-expanding recreational foam.
Yeah, that's not the acronym I made up in my sleep, though.
No,
No,
and you just don't remember the acronym that you made up in your sleep.
it was something similar to that.
Does foam typically expand?
I know some foams do. I don't know. I think they just made up the word and then thought they should.
Acronymize it.
They
Acronym.
they went back in time and decided it needs to make. Or
It
no,
needs to have an acronym.
they made it a backronym.
Yeah. Did you ever see there was a movie with Dave Caruso and Nicolas Cage in it that was called I think it was Kiss of Death. It was like one of those like Pulp Fiction-y kind of like trying to, Ving Rhames was in it.
I remember. I might have seen it. I feel like there was a bit in the 90s when I worked at a movie theater. And
Right, I remember that.
Saw like everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Kiss of Death was Dave Caruso's probably more prominent lead roles, but he was I think it was like a car thief or something, and he was trying to get out of the life, and then of course the government was trying to keep him in the life so they could get information out of him, and they were trying to get him to gain the confidence of this guy, Nicolas Cage's character, right? And there was an exchange between him and Dave Caruso's character that was basically, Nicolas Cage says, dude, you got to be like me. You got to get yourself an acronym like mine. BAD, balls, attitude, direction. And he goes, then David Caruso says, what about FAB? Fucked at birth. And then Nicolas Cage's character waits for about 15, 20 seconds and goes, no, man, too negative.
That's a Nicolas Cage thing to do.
That's very Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, too negative.
Too negative, man.
That's right. You need to cut out all that negative stuff.
Right. Do you watch much television, Andrew?
I watched some things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the Lego Masters thing on Fox?
No, I don't watch it. No.
Okay. Because I kind of like the Lego Masters. I'm not a Will Arnett fan, but I recognize the fact that he has, he has some humor. I don't like his shtick, but it's like,
yeah, I liked
right?
him. I liked him as Batman.
That's right, in the Lego movies.
Lego Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's how he got the gig.
Probably.
But there is another show which is like they're trying to capitalize on the Masters thing.
Yeah.
And it's called Domino Masters.
Oh, I saw an ad for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
And the host is Eric Stone Street, and just doesn't have the same kind of energy. No. But it's, at least with Lego Masters, it's like you're trying to build an expression of something that's an artistic sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do it with dominoes. I've watched the 3 episodes they've had. The reason I bring it up is because their most recent one was time travel. You had to do a domino thing. I mean, I don't know, man. I used to think that was fascinating, toppling dominoes. I mean, it was fun setting them up and knocking them down. There was the incredible domino rally toy or whatever.
I wonder if some people got really good at it during the pandemic.
Maybe that's the function of it.
Some people were just like, what are we going to do? Oh, get on Amazon, get some dominoes here.
Dominoes and make some Rube Goldbergian sort of contraptions. Yeah. And that's the thing, too. The extent of the drama is, oh my gosh, am I going to topple the domino? That's pretty much, that's it. There's no other drama. That's the only thing.
Am I going to knock this over too early?
That's all. It's not like, and you can say something like that about Legos, but there's more points of failure on Legos because you're building a thing.
Right.
It's not like either the contraption you built doesn't work. Oh my gosh, that's the drama. Or, oh my gosh, you toppled a domino. Yeah. Which in the last show, 2 of the teams accidentally knocked over their big tower of dominoes. But it's like, well, that's not drama. That's just...
So you're saying it's not as high stakes as the Great British Baking Show?
No, definitely not.
No.
Or what was that?
Compelling.
What's... I like that, I kind of, as far as those reality shows, man, what if they had a time-traveling reality show?
What?
That sounds like a video game in the making, doesn't it?
Sounds like
a story about a time-traveling reality show where you follow a time traveler around and he's doing his thing.
Well, it's like those shows where, like, we're going to recreate a, colonial village and... see how you guys do with your spoiled bacon.
Right.
And then, except for it'd be like real life.
But I think you'd have to do something with the time traveling. Well, it could be a television show too, but you'd have to do something that was clever about the time traveling and things that you've got to think of. The little wrinkles, like, if you, like in Time Cop, where it's like, you can't touch yourself because if you touch yourself, the big enemy touches himself and he gets enveloped in a big thing of goop, which is ridiculous. But
ridiculous. Time
traveling reality show. I'm gonna file that in the back of my head and probably do nothing with it in the future. But
it does remind me of this really cool short story I read.
Yeah,
but it wasn't time travel, but it was dimension travel. So I guess that's it was written by Edgar Carrot, who's like a Israeli writer, and he just specializes in these really short, really weird stories. But and I forgot what this one was called, but it was basically the premise was, the guy breaks up with his girlfriend and she leaves to go live on another continent, like South America or something.
Right.
And then the next day he runs into his ex-girlfriend. He's like, I thought you moved in, and then she reveals like, no, I'm actually not her. I'm a contestant in a reality show from my, because from this other dimension where we go to other dimensions, and it's 6 of us. We get put in places, and they make sure that you're put in a spot where you're not going to run into your counterpart. So
Right.
your girlfriend left for Australia or whatever, and so I'm here. I can do, and then he like falls in love with her, and like the way you win the game is you figure out what's different between this world and the world that they come from.
Okay.
And so, and everything's going great. And you don't actually go back to the world until you figure out what the difference is.
So it's like a time thing, like people who do it the fastest or whatever.
Yeah, whoever does it the fastest wins. But you don't find out whether you won or lose until you figure it out. They got along so well, like they fell in love, and she's like, maybe I don't even need to win this game. And they're like, all right. And then they get engaged, and they're going looking for venues, and they go to a church, and then she's like, well, where is he? Like, what are you talking about? Where's God? And like, what do you mean? It's like, well, in my world, every church, God's there. And he's like, what? And then she figured it out and leaves.
She figured it out and left.
Well, like the reality show from her own dimension just plucked her out of her. And the guy was,
because she figured it out. And
she figured it out in this world. There's no God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really cool book.
It's a really cool, yeah. And that was just like a short story.
Yeah.
Like this guy makes all these weird short stories.
No, that's an interesting short story.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but it was just sort of like what's different?
So alternate timelines.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of those, the multiverse is coming back.
Oh, man. Yeah, Marvel movies are cashing in on that.
Right.
It was awesome because that's how you can have all those Spider-Mans in one movie.
Did you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
It was fun. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, there's lots of Spider-Mans.
Even Spider-Ham.
That's Spider-Ham. Oh, yeah, that one. Oh, I mean the other movie.
Into the Spider-Verse?
No, well, that's Into the Spider-Verse, but the Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, yeah,
one.
the new one. Okay, yeah, right, with those all the different Spider-Mans and all the different
there's 3 Spider-Mans.
Right, and all the villains.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at that, shut up.
Very time travel-y there, too.
Yeah, there's some time messing with.
Was it nice to see the older Spider-Mans together for you, or?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was just fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't expect a lot from those movies anymore.
I just like that the whole scene where Garfield is doing who's the first one?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Where Tobey Maguire and him are standing on the building, and he's talking about his back, and he does the whole.
Oh yeah. Here, do this.
It's
Let me crack it.
Wow, that's. It sounds like there are many opportunities for that kind of humor. In the movie. I may actually see it. I mean, I'm a little bit skeptical about how the multiverse of madness is going to turn out with Doctor Strange.
Well,
how crazy they're going to make it.
You should watch the Spider-Man one then.
Okay.
Before that, because I feel like it's like a lead into it.
Yeah, it seems like
Doctor Strange is like
a main part of that whole thing, right?
He's in there. Yeah, he's a main part of the stuff where stuff gets weird.
Well, that's the thing too. Scarlet Witch is going to be in the multiverse of madness, but if you haven't seen WandaVision, you kind of miss out a piece of her background that you don't see. Have you seen WandaVision?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
what did you think of WandaVision? Speaking of like time traveling,
I liked it.
Different television genres,
different television decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as those other shows that, I let my subscription lapse because I decided to focus on other, I don't know. I've got a rotation now.
Yeah.
It's like once I get done with all the stuff I have to watch on one thing, I just cancel it. And then,
there's so many things.
Time traveling. Do you have a favorite time traveling movie? I know that before the show we discussed a little bit with Norah about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and that's one of the more memorable ones for me too. Do you remember any that you think are good time travel movies or fun
travel movies,
or television? I guess
television. I liked the Matt Smith Doctor Who.
Okay.
I mean that was just fun and silly
Yeah.
stuff. But
Doctor Who does that. That's pretty much what they do, right?
they do, yeah.
A lot of,
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
yeah. Did
Oh.
you see Tenet?
No, I didn't see that one
Okay.
because I got issues with Christopher Nolan.
Okay. So what are your issues?
I didn't like Inception.
All right.
I was like, I don't think dreams work like that.
I didn't like Inception either.
Yeah.
But my reason I didn't like Inception was because the main character, I didn't care what happened to him.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So
that
whether he
too.
was trapped in a dream or not, it didn't really, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
care about whether he got lost.
I think that might be more like Christopher Nolan makes movies where I don't care about the characters. Is that it?
Well,
I don't know.
but that's the thing too. That's the thing with Tenet is I saw Tenet and I liked the main character in Tenet because he was a guy that was just trying to, he was kind of a fish out of water trying to figure stuff out, and you're kind of figuring it out along with him.
Mm-hmm.
And there is kind of some interesting stuff with time flowing in different directions and how that works, which I think is worth checking out.
Maybe worth checking out.
Yeah. I mean, just see, it's definitely not for everyone, and it's definitely one of those ones where if you let yourself think about it too much, it becomes not as enjoyable. Like if you try and think about it too much instead of just kind of go with what's happening.
There's one movie that's not exactly a time travel movie, but it's called Night on Earth. It's
Okay.
a Jim Jarmusch movie.
All right.
And so basically, I forgot how many segments. I think there's like 5 different segments in it, and they all happen during the same hour, right? But at different parts all over Earth. There's like one segment that's in LA, one that's New York, one that's like Rome. Yeah, there's Paris, Rome, and then Helsinki. Yeah, that's the 5 places.
It's the same segment of time.
It's the same,
in
yeah.
all of those different places simultaneously.
Yeah, kind of. But it's not like, it's just like little slice of life. This is what's happening here. It's what, and it's actually, and every one of them is a cab ride.
So that's the common thread.
The common thread.
Yeah.
So there's no time travel.
It's not time travel, but it does deal with
It's
sort
sort
of
of like,
presentation of time.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. It was cool and Jim Jarmusch. I was trying to think it's Jim Jarmusch done a time travel movie.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But
What about things like, back in the 90s, did you like Sliding Doors at all?
Sliding Doors.
Yeah, that
I
was
didn't
like
watch it.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. It's like she makes
Yeah.
one decision, and actually
Yeah.
they've got a television show now on that
It's called
kind of
Quantum Leap, right?
no. That was another
I
one
heard
of
they're
those times.
rebooting Quantum Leap. No, are they?
That was a
I don't
pretty.
know.
I mean, I thought as far as time travel shows go, that was pretty good.
That was fun.
You
That
know,
was good.
it was definitely a fun time. Oh, Sliding Doors. There's this show called Ordinary Joe.
Ordinary Joe.
Yeah, that just came on. That's basically Sliding Doors is what if you made one decision and how that would change if it forks 2 different
Yeah.
directions. And then they went back and forth between what's happening in one line and what's happening in another.
Yeah.
Well, this is Sliding Doors, but it's 3 timelines happening all simultaneously in half-hour episodes. And it's almost exhausting. It's
Yeah.
just like too much.
It's too much.
They try, like each decision that the guy made that takes him down a different path, whether he wants to be a musician, whether he wants to be a cop, or whether he wants to be a father or focus on family or whatever. It's just one of those things where you're trying to be clever more than you're trying to tell a story. It doesn't make sense. At least with Sliding Doors, the whole point was you go these 2 different directions. It doesn't matter which is real. They both end up kind of the same.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a neat way to think about it, like serendipity or whatever. What are your thoughts on Groundhog Day?
Groundhog Day. It's my
Yeah.
favorite holiday.
Puxatawny Phil.
No,
It was just like
No,
2 rows.
I just like it got, nobody gets mad if I forget to give them a gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so no,
I'm a little put off that all the festivities take place in a place called Gobbler's Knob.
yeah,
It's just, that just doesn't sound right.
It sounds weird.
It sounds naughty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Talking about the movie.
the movie. Yeah, I know the movie. I like the movie.
How much time do you think passed in that movie? How many lifetimes do you think he
Oh
lived?
man, he had to do so much. Here's a fun fact: was it Ivan Reitman was the director?
Harold Ramis
Harold
directed.
Ramis. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Harold Ramis. Yeah. Oh, since Harold Ramis knew Bill Murray, and he knew that the longer Bill Murray was on a shoot, the grumpier he would get.
Right.
like they filmed all the nice Bill Murray stuff first, and then
Right.
the crotchety
Yeah. Like later on.
Burnout.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
nihilistic Bill Murray later. Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. So they didn't even they didn't even skip to the chronology of the script. They were like, they were doing time travel while they're making time travel.
Here's another little thing about that movie as it relates to Harold Ramis and Bill Murray. They kind of parted ways after that movie. They stopped talking to each other, and they didn't start talking until shortly before Harold Ramis's death. But there was some bad blood was, I don't know if spilled is the right word, but on that movie where at the time they were filming it, Bill Murray was focused more on being like doing his serious acting, right, at that point in time. Yeah. And he wanted to focus on a lot of the more philosophical aspects of the movie, whereas Harold, which is where the original script was written, and Harold Ramis was focusing on the comedy, because that's kind of what sold the movie to people, and it's just like, and I think it turned out really well for what it was.
Yeah.
Apparently, they kind of were trying to get the producers to do, like he tried to get the guy back in to rewrite the script, and it's
all
like
this stuff.
Bill Murray did, but I don't think Harold Ramis never, it was just like, well, that's Bill. I mean, it's just like Bill. Every single sort of thing he'll point out things about Bill that are, just like facts, like it's like, hey, I think this, but he's this. Like, it's usually he puts a good thing in there for like anything negative he says about or said about him. And I was like, oh, that's just Bill. But yeah, after that movie, that was it for them for a long time. Also, fun fact about that movie, it was filmed in the town next door to mine where I lived. It was filmed actually in Woodstock, Illinois. Yep. What? And the hotel was actually the Woodstock Opera House. And the Tip Top Diner was actually a diner in Woodstock, the bowling alley. I remember seeing the bowling alley and going, wow, I used to go bowling there, man.
So that diner, I mean, because, Punxsutawney is in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
Which is the land of Scrapple.
Right.
Did they have Scrapple in Woodstock?
No.
So,
Scrapple
is only something those weird Pennsylvania people do.
Yes. They also have like a special language, right? They say like yins and things like, I don't know all the stuff they say.
Wooder ice.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that, right? And they say like if your fly's ever down, they say your Kennywood's open. Your Kennywood. Kennywood is a amusement park in Pennsylvania. So they say your Kennywood's open.
That's right.
Anyhow.
And then they say that they all like to go to the Wawa for coffee.
The Wawa. All in the name of convenience. Video games is a medium like any other thing, like television. It tells a story. There are things where you can use, like in the early days of video games, they use time travel as a premise. Like there's one called, a game called Time Killers, which was around the time that Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat were all the rage.
Yeah.
And it was an early weapons-based sort of game. And the whole dynamic about it was that you could, there were 5 or 8 different time-traveling characters from different eras. And if you played through the one-player campaign, the person you fight at the end is death. Duh.
Always fighting death.
Always fighting death, man. But anyway,
playing electric football.
Yep, exactly. Vibrating table football. The whole thing that was the I don't know, premise, the thing that was Mortal Kombat-y about it was you could cut off their arms. So each button of the 5 buttons, there were the 4 buttons were left arm, left foot, right foot, which is not a button organization that the other games used, but this one did. And so when you got your arm cut off, when your arm took too much damage, the player would cut it off, and then you couldn't block. And then if you had no more arms, you could only headbutt them and kick them.
Only a flesh wound.
Yeah, exactly. You had to do that. There weren't any legs that they didn't cut them off in this game. There was a follow-up game called Bloodstorm that did allow you to cut off someone's legs and you were trying to fight someone without jumping. But anyway, this game is what I remember. One of the games, a fighting game, very cartoony looking, very much not like Mortal Kombat. And it was made by the company that made Golden Tee. You know those golf games? Yeah. Golden Tee Golf. Incredible Technologies made this. But it was their only actual video game that wasn't something like bowling or... Incredible Technologies also worked with Capcom a little bit on some of their games too. So they were they started out, I think Mount Vernon is where they're located in Illinois. And so they did some like things oriented with home game stuff, but then Golden Tee was their big moneymaker, I think. Your lovely wife mentioned
the Russian doll. Yeah.
Which was on Netflix, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Definitely Russian Doll is one that's
Russian
worth
Doll
checking out.
is, and it's got Harry Nilsson in there.
Yeah.
Every episode.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Right.
Listen to some Harry Nilsson to make your time travel complete.
Well, I just think it's kind of funny that she avoids the stairs for the first. It's just like, it just happens a couple times, and it's like, God damn it, the stairs. How would that affect? I mean, if you were living the same life over and over and over again, I mean, you make some interesting decisions.
Yeah.
Some rash decisions, perhaps. But yeah, as far as the sense of humor of that show, it was really good.
It's good, and yeah.
I saw a movie recently, The Atom Project.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
It was fun. I mean, it wasn't something I think that would have made a lot of money in the theater, but it's, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the quality on streaming services these days? Because instead of having straight to video, now it seems like it's straight to streaming services, right? Or they sell it if it's a certain level. To a streaming service and they put it out there.
Right.
Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Because I mean, there's more stuff, but what is the quality of that stuff?
I would say there's a lot of quality stuff, but I don't watch everything.
Right. And I think that gives people, I mean, sometimes like with the producers of whatever the film is, right? Don't understand it and they make changes and they give you notes and they change the thing from what it was to something that they believe will be more palatable. Right. But then I think one good thing about streaming and things going to streaming is you can try almost anything, right? Is it going to work out?
Is it going to work out? And then, there's a lot more of like these, limited series.
Right. Some of them good.
Some good. Some of them
they don't bring back and they make me sad. It was like The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell was one of those shows that I absolutely loved. Did you ever see that?
No.
It was kind of a Martha Stewart show with Muppets and this woman who lived in a creepy house who made all these creepy sort of things that were like more like Halloween themed, but like a lot of sculpted things and Martha Stewart-y things, but it was like all like creepy stuff. Christine McConnell. Yeah. It was really, really kind of fun because she would talk to the camera and then the Muppets would turn and go, who is she talking to? Like,
yeah.
And the Muppet characters were all like individual, kind of cool. It was one of those shows that was really fun. I really loved it, but I could see where Netflix wouldn't understand it or didn't get it, or maybe, I just didn't understand why it wasn't renewed because it was fun.
Speaking of the time traveler.
Yeah.
New Star Trek shows.
Yeah, like the Picard ones.
The Picard one, they traveled back in time to 2024.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, yep, you're saving money on locations right now.
I think they should have stopped with like the original Star Trek 4 when they went back to Earth.
Done no more Star Trek after that? Or
Well, no. The time travel story with the whales, right? That's another time travel story where Star Trek, they go back.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever, right? It was cool where it was like, what is this thing? What is it looking for? It's destroying everything. And,
it's trying to talk to the whales that we killed. Oh.
And then, of course, that wonderful scene where Spock is at, where was it, SeaWorld or whatever, and he's doing the mind meld with the big humpback whale or whatever.
And I just remembered my favorite time travel movie.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll close out the show.
Safety not guaranteed.
Okay. All right. What's the general premise of that?
The general premise of that is guys from a weekly newspaper or magazine in Seattle, whatever, they're responding to, they're trying to get to the bottom of this personal ad that's placed in a weekly newspaper about, I'm looking to go back in time, I'm looking for a partner, have your own weapons, safety not guaranteed. And so then they go into like trying to figure out what's this guy's deal, and then I find out he has been working on a time machine, and there's all these other things, going on. And is he just a crazy weirdo, or
who's the actor? I think I saw that.
What's his name?
We'll never forget old what's his name.
He played Nick on New Girl.
Oh,
yeah,
that guy.
Guy.
Yeah,
and Aubrey Plaza and Mark Duplass.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but that was a fun movie.
Okay, so I did. Aubrey Plaza brought it back to me.
Yeah.
It was another one of those. Yeah, it's interesting.
And then it's like, spoiler alert. I don't know. It's about.
You didn't mention the Ewok knife fight.
Yeah, that's in the 3rd season of The Mandalorian. Just spoiler
Speaking
alert.
of, spoiler alert. That's one thing I can be very thankful for. Is the fact that at the very least Star Wars hasn't tried to do a time travel thing.
No.
And I hope they never do, because it's already pretty much, people, it has a sort of a, I don't know, the universe itself has sort of an innocence about it, and kids seem to gravitate toward whatever iteration is presented to them. Like, the first 3 in our timeline, episodes 4, 5, and 6, that were presented to us was, it was like, wow, this is amazing. This is new. This is fresh. This is cool. And it always seems to be that way, even though we look at it and we go, ugh, that whole Jar Jar Binks is problematic.
Yeah. Lots of that.
Each generation loves it.
Yeah.
So it's a universal thing. And I think how you would ruin that is you would put some chocolate ganache on it.
Yeah.
Time travel.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
No, it's not in Star Wars.
Nope. So that is my closing thought.
Okay.
Time travel. Don't do it.
Too much time travel in Star Trek. Don't bring it to Star Wars.
No. Keep it there.
Shutting it down.
Shut it down.
Agreed.
And speaking of shutting it down, thank you, Andrew, for joining me on today's podcast. It was great having you.
Yeah, it was fun. As usual.
Yeah, awesome. So, on that note, my name is Ben.
My name's Andrew.
And we've been your hosts. Have a wonderful night. Bye.
Bye-bye.